We are back. It is episode 2 of the Shut the Hell Up and Sell podcast. And we started with a banger, man. And it's all rapid fire around here because you guys, you know how we do. You know, I am so fortunate and so lucky to have some amazingly talented sales leaders that are I like to call them my personal friends. None more of a leader and a rock star than my guy, Sander Biehn, who's our guest today. Sander, what's happening?
Not much, just living the dream down here in the downtown Atlanta.
Speaking of the dream, man, you always make me so just jealous with your $1 million view. It's like,
Well, that's one thing I definitely have.
yeah. Well, dude, hey, thanks for joining us today. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast for the first time, just a little bit of a review on what we're about. We're just about sharing our truth, just bringing the love, bringing the joy back to sales, man. I'm just seeing so many people out there just not getting the joy that I believe that you should get in sales. This is the noblest of professions. I'm very proud. With all of my titles, Sander, number 1 is salesman, and that's for a reason. I believe it's a very noble profession. So the goal on our podcast episodes is to introduce you to a rock star that's out there, have them to share their story with you, and then give you some practical direction and advice, something that you can take away and apply today. Because if you guys have read the book, then you understand that's what it's about. The Shut the Hell Up and Sell book. It's about storytelling. So I share stories from my career in a way to help people to relate and understand the philosophies that I have and why I built those philosophies. And then the second part of the book is all about the tactical execution, the block and tackling. Like, do this, do that, and you'll be successful. But you can't do this and do that if you don't really understand the why. If you don't understand the why, the philosophy that fuels those actions and fuels that tactical execution, you just won't achieve the level of success that I think that people can. So again, I'm joined by Sander Biehn. Sander, if you wouldn't mind, tell our audience what it is that you do, my friend.
Well, these days, I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Thought Horizon. We have a platform called Ready for Social that helps keep salespeople active inside of social media and helps out marketers with their messaging in the B2B space. But really, I spent my whole life in B2B sales. And frankly, I'm still doing it because I'm the chief salesperson for my company, in charge of our sales division here, which is 3 people strong. But anyway, I spent an entire career working for AT&T, much of it in telecom sales. And so that's what I did my entire life. And I have to tell you, because I just came back from a college reunion, and you know how it is at these college reunions. You never feel like maybe what you did was quite as impressive or good enough, and everyone's always trying to outgame the other person. Well, This is not the first time I've gone back. And every time I go back, I've always tried to kind of hide what it is I've done, because people don't necessarily view what we do as a noble profession. And when we're around each other, it's easy for us to feel good about it. But when you're with other people and you're like, yeah, I'm a B2B sales guy, work for AT&T or whatever, it just doesn't have the same gravitas as like I'm a nuclear scientist or I'm a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. But the funny thing is, this was like, now we're getting into 35 years on. I've been feeling a lot more comfortable in my own skin. I don't know about you, but I'm telling people, hey, I'm in sales and I love it. And the funny thing is, the reactions I get these days from people who've now gone through much of their career is, wow, that's really awesome. And there's, that's nothing to be ashamed of. And that's a very noble profession and something that's extremely important in the business world and the world that we have today. So,
I don't care what the product, the service, everything has to be sold, Sander. Everything has to be sold. And there's a guy like you or me on the other end that has to have the skill set to do it. I was lucky. I started my career in jewelry and retail jewelry, and I was lucky to work with an organization that was 100 years old. 100-year-old company, and they had tremendous pride in what it was that they did, and I learned that from day one. So for me, I fortunately hadn't suffered from that, and but I think that's a great point that you make, because I think a lot of people do. So back to your story, when did you start? How long have you been in the game? Like, how many years?
Okay, so I'm really bad with math, but 1990, I started as a salesperson representing Illinois Bell products and services in the city of Chicago. So I guess that's what, 32 years if I'm doing it right, or something like more than that. Yeah.
I'm clapping that out if you guys can't hear that. So we got a veteran, man. We got a rock star veteran with us today. 30, we'll say 30 plus years in the sales game. And so tell us about your very first sales gig. What was your first sales job, Sander?
Yeah, so like I said, we were representing proxy services for Illinois Bell, and when I first got to the job site, I asked the boss, I'm like, well, who should I call on? Where should I go? And there was this thing called the Yellow Pages, and it was about this thick, the one in Chicago, and he just dropped it on my desk, and he said, "You go anywhere you can make money." And I said, what if I decide to go to downstate Illinois? He goes, if you can make money going down there, then do it. He said, what about Kentucky? Yeah, you go to Kentucky. So I learned early on that I had to make my own success, figure out what to do and where to go and how to get it done. And I'm not saying it was easy, but I did have a lot of good, relationships and friends in the office who helped me along to help me start to learn the lessons that I've learned over the years to get it done.
Man, so like you said, not easy, but wouldn't you agree? Like, that ability to create your own success, right? To chart your own path is just energizing, right? And what I find is that a lot of sellers nowadays seem to rely a little bit too much on um, their technology, and don't make the technology work for them in creative ways. Like the 2022 equivalent of dropping that phone book in your lap and saying, go make it happen. So tell me a little bit about your experience when they dropped that phone book, and your boss drops that phone book in your lap and says, go make it happen. What did your day look like back then? Like, when you were carrying a bag in 1990, how were you prospecting? How were you connecting with folks?
Quite literally, I started with brute force, just like cold calling, starting in the A's, and then I got sick of that and went to the D's or something, and just started calling businesses and asking, who takes care of your phone system, and can I talk to that person? I'd like to talk to them about some offers and things that we have available to them. And what I found was this whole working smarter versus harder was something that came into view right away. But the other thing I did notice as well is that there is an element of working harder. So I think, I love working smarter, and we often emphasize that a lot when we're talking to people, especially younger people in the craft. But there is an element of getting it done, doing the work, do the work.
Yeah.
That's a big one these days. Saw like some guy at the gym with a shirt on that said that. I like that a lot. There is an element of getting out of bed each day and hitting the tongs and the hammers as hard as you can,
Yeah.
and getting done what you're going to get done. Now, do it in an intelligent manner, but definitely there is an angle to that. And so that was my day. I'd call, and I couldn't wait to get an appointment, because when I got an appointment, that meant I was going to get in the car, because really predates email. So I would go out there with my brochures and my pitch, and I would bring it to the location of the customer, and I would drive all over Chicagoland, presenting this. I'd bring sometimes a piece of equipment that we would be selling so they could touch it and feel it. And then I'd go out there. I just loved being on the road between my office and there, because felt completely free. I thought all my friends from college, they're stuck in some office meeting someplace right now. And me, I'm just cruising down the Illinois tollway.
Yeah. You know what I pulled from that, Sander? I feel that in sales, you get people that seem to tend to get, when they get to success, they get too cute, right? And we use that working smarter thing as a crutch, as an excuse to not work hard. And I'm putting my hand up because I'm one of those guys. I've done that. And I've said that at times throughout my career. I'm like, oh, working smarter, not harder. But yeah, I didn't really work that hard. I was just finding ways to only work to
Just
work a
saying.
minimal amount of time, you know? But you think about when you can combine, and I know you've seen that in your career, and you're a workhorse, man. I've seen you grind. When you can combine that smarter mentality, that entrepreneurial mindset to the sales game, and a work ethic, a disciplined work ethic. Oh my God. I I dare say there isn't any other career where you can achieve so much like success. You really write your own checks, but it's so hard to combine the two. Have you felt that that's been a challenge for you as well, or were you able to kind of to check in and work hard and smart?
Well, I think I was more prone to working hard at first, but what I learned from some of the great people who taught me is watching them and watching how they got things done.
Yeah.
Like one guy, for example, he was a total work smart, not hard kind of guy. And he would always be at lunch with somebody, always having lunch. I'm like, I never got to go to lunch with anybody. I was on either cold calling or driving the tollway to go to an appointment, but I never took a time for that.
Hmm.
So what I learned from that guy was, you know what? Because he blew his quota away all the time. Because he would go there, he'd get referrals from existing clients, et cetera. I mean, like there was something to that. So I think
Yeah.
I was ready to be a student of this thing because I was motivated by money.
So, you made mention of a couple of people during your career. I think that it's really important for us to continue to push our profession forward, and help the next generation to to not only to grow and love this profession the way that we do, but to nurture them, right? Because we had those people at some point during your career. You had someone that put their arm around you, showed you the way that it was done, and I know for me that's been super impactful. So, my, at this point in time in the podcast, this is when I like to ask you to shout out a mentor, man. Who's that? Who's one of those unsung heroes from your career that made an impact in your life, made an impact in your business, and made an impact in how you sell today?
Okay, I'm going to shout out two people. One guy is a guy who's still grinding hard up in Chicago. His name is Michael Carrane, Carrane. And he was a guy who was in my office at that small business when we first started. He showed me the way. As a matter of fact, I saw him not too many weeks ago. We were talking about another business opportunity to sell, my services through a channel that he had come up with. A second guy is my first boss. His name is Mark Zients, Z like zebra, IONTS. That guy, he told me early on he was never going to retire, and he's made good on that promise. He's out there, looks great, and just killing it, running companies is in a CEO fashion, often helping to get those things sold. That guy took a chance on me. I had no credentials at all. He asked me to come out to Chicago, and I did it. And
Mm.
he showed me how to sell. He actually even paid for my ticket to go see Zig Ziglar. Yes, I saw the man, the legend, in
The
person
Zig.
at one point.
Wow. Well, shout out to both of those gentlemen. Again, for those of you out there that are leaders, like I think it's incumbent upon us to help nurture that next generation, man. Let's mentor folks and bring them up and share that. Help them to connect with that joy. Help them to connect with the success, that not just the success that we've had, but the lessons that we've learned in sales. Like sales, at least for me, is just impacted everything, everything that I do. Would you agree, Sander? What is the impact of being a salesman, or the salesman rather? How's that made an impact on your life?
Yeah, I mean, it does. It sort of like shapes who you are in life, in real life, all the time.
Hmm.
And because it is a bit of a philosophy, it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of connecting with people. And I've always loved people, and I think sales has given me a kind of a channel through which to do that. Not only on in
Yeah.
a professional way, during the day, but off hours and at other times, helping my daughter sell Girl Scout cookies. Through the years, you name it. It's been a way to connect with community and other people.
Love it. So, okay, at this point of the podcast, Sandra, this is what I'm going to call on you to share a story. And for those of you that have not read the book yet, the first part of the book is all about storytelling. It's me sharing stories about my journey in sales, these stories that have helped to shape my philosophy and um, you know made impact in how I sell and how I do business. And so I would like you to share a story from your career. It can be a success, it can be a failure, but a story that taught you a lesson that just made just an indelible imprint on your psyche.
Yeah, so this is something I tell my sales guys today. I've actually told, I haven't told them this story, but I do say this at times based on this story. So back in the day, we sold products that were made by Illinois Bell, and we won points for that, and those points could then be redeemed in this giant catalog. Back in the day, it was an actual book, and you could buy things out of the catalog. Now, my wife and I were newly married, and we needed a vacuum cleaner, like in a pretty big way. The house was super dirty. And so a vacuum cleaner was in this catalog, and I needed a few more of these points in order to get that vacuum cleaner. And what happened was I had a deal on the table, and I had done a great job building a relationship with this prospect, explaining to them all the benefits and features of what we did, and they were feeling like on the fence about buying and making the signature at that point. And they're like, I don't know if I need that one product. I do want your other stuff, but I'm just not sure about this Illinois Bell thingy over here. And I went back and I said, look, we've talked about all the reasons you need it, but I'm going to give you one more. And I went out on a limb and I told them about the points that I received, from selling this. And I told them that I needed a vacuum cleaner. And you know what? The guy signed it. And so what's the point? The point is you matter. It's not just all about like, oh, I'm just this guy in the background. The buyers are invested in you. Now you can't just say, hey, I need stuff. Can you just give me money? That's not sales. But if you're doing all the other things well and taking care of them, they want to take care of you. And you can give them a reason. Say, I need this. I do. Not all the time, but every once in a while. And that's a way to get things in the door.
Oh wow, I love that. That's a tremendous share. That reminds me of something I've done over the years with my sellers as well. Like coming, you always have those sellers that it's the end of the month and they're like, oh man, I can't get this one deal to go, and I've done everything and they've said they're going to go, but it's not going to happen, and I need to hit my number, and so yeah, I've told them at times, yeah, well, tell them, be honest with them because
They don't want to do it. Yeah, I agree. And young guys, they don't want to do it. But you're like, yeah, this is what you do.
Well, most people want to be helpful, especially if they like you. Like,
Yeah.
sure, they want to help you, and as long as you've now, guys, of course, you bring all the value, do what you're supposed to do, read the book, do your discovery, do the things that you're supposed to do, make sure you're bringing value. But if you've done that and you propose, it's a good deal, and like, hey, you got to push it over. Just be honest, and I think that's something else that people, maybe there's a misconception about sales, is that it's not. Let me back this up. There's a lot of perception of manipulation around
Mhm.
sales. And what I found is the more honest you are with people, the better you do. The people that I know that are the most honest, like even honest with how they present, like, hey, this is me. I'm the slovenly guy with, ketchup stains on my tie, whatever. But just be you, you're going to be successful. And I think your story is a great example of just how honesty can win out. All right, so love the story. I want to ask you about some tactical, practical, very specific direction and an advice that you can give to our audience of sellers and sales leaders. And I'm not going to lead you in any direction, but I know you own a company that does social media. I'm just saying,
Well, there might be some. I promise I'll weave it in. No, so my tactical advice to people out there is now look, sales has changed a lot, right? Especially in the last, say 5, 10 years, where there's a big reliance on a lot of sales enablement tools that help us get our day to day work done. Not the least of which are things like Outreach or Sales Loft that enable you to stay on top of sending emails out to people and calling people. My practical piece of advice is yes, use the technology, but err on the side of relying on it less. Pull things out of those automated funnels and use your brain to figure out how to close the things that look the best to you. And I tell my sales team this all the time, especially my BDR. I say, look, If you see a commonality, either with yourself, me, something with our company, their company, whatever it might be, yank that guy out of the cadence and start doing it by hand. And I'm not saying taking everything out of the cadence and doing it by hand, but err on the side of doing something beautiful versus doing something that's just like, hitting a hammer on a nail all day. Because there's beauty in everything that gets done. And I think that we need to get back to beauty a little bit more, especially with the reliance that we have these days on just hitting everything with as much technology as possible.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, given that, again, you're in technology, you're in the social media space, I'm going to ask you for one additional little nugget. Like, what are you seeing in terms of from, how people are using and leveraging your technology and your company to be successful?
Staying active in social media, my friends, is no longer an option. It's something that you need to do. And if you play your cards right and you act like a human being, you will create a situation of reciprocity between you and your prospects, where you're scratching their back, they're scratching yours. And it will necessarily bring people into your orbit for the things that you're trying to do and sell. If you're relentless about connecting with people, relentless about caring about what they're doing online, and relentless about putting your own ideas online or on a regular basis, not too much, but enough, you will succeed.
Oh, I love it. Sander, where can people connect with you? Where can they connect with your company?
Yep, www.readyforsocial.com. Nothing cute about it. readyforsocial.com is the best place to find me. Also, I have a really distinctive name, Sander. You type that into LinkedIn, you're going to most likely find me. And if not, you find my name if you Google the company Ready for Social.
So again, guys, readyforsocial.com, or you can find Sander on LinkedIn. Sander, Biehn. All right, Sander Biehn. Sander, it's been a pleasure, my friend. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your truth. That is what we are about. For those of you that have not picked up your copy of the book yet, make sure you do that.
Pre-order it.
Pre-order it, double order it, triple order it, whatever. Make sure you get it Christmas. If it's Christmas time, you're listening to this. I don't know when you're listening to this, but if it's around Christmas time, get it for your team. One of the things I want to leave you guys with, and just a concept from the book, is that the last part of our book is your story. So the first part is the psychology. That's the storytelling, like Sander's great story that he shared. And then there's practical, tactical execution. And then the last part is your story. It's open pages for you to take lessons like you learned from Sander here today and apply these lessons to your life, and then figure out how they work in your business. Because there's no gurus over here, man. We're all students. We're all learning. We're learning together, but you can get there further if you take the advice of folks like my friend Sander. All right, that's it. Appreciate you guys' time today. And remember, say less, sell more. Hey guys, it's Ronell, and I just wanted to thank you for listening to this episode of the Shut the Hell Up and Sell podcast. If you liked it, please rate us 5 stars on whichever podcasting platform you're listening to this on. And while you're at it, punch that subscribe button. That way you get notified every time we drop a brand new episode. Hey, I'd also appreciate it if you went to our website, shutthehellupandsell.com, and became a member. It's absolutely free, and you'll have the opportunity to listen to previous episodes of our podcast, check out some of our free courses, get a copy of the book, and we'll send you sales tips and motivational nuggets from time to time. Lastly, if you'd like to book me for either appearances or speaking engagements, just send an email to my team at team@shutthehellupandsell.com.